Hello and welcome to the second part of Minecraft Plants by Genus. We're going to take switch up things up a bit now, and we are going to get onto some sort of scrub and desert woodland plants. But what do we have here? Daisy. So yeah, there's a few other daisies actually in the plants. We'll get to those. We'll get to those. I may even include different stuff in them because there's a lot to be said about the vanilla daisy, right? So let's think. So we're going to say a lot. So yeah. So obviously it's the Oxeye Daisy, and this is in the genus Leucanthemum. So there it is. Okay, so an interesting. One of the things about botanical names as well is that, like, a lot of it is a lot of the words actually have a lot of significant meaning. And the thing about the daisy, right? And that is incorrect, of course, because it needs to be capitalized. Okay. Okay, so yeah, you can see the word anther is in there, right? And that's in a lot of stuff. So basically, the anther and the filament. This is like almost like bloody tutorial about how plants are, but you know, I may as well. It's a stamen, and that's the male, right? So you could say, right, and there's things you can do with the, like, for instance, right, in daisies, if you look at the middle of the daisy, you'll notice they've got fused anthers, right? This is the interesting thing about the plants. That a lot of the top plant, there's actually many different plants in the middle, many different flowers. It's not necessarily one flower. It's like loads of flowers. In the same way that, you know, like humans with loads of cells or whatever. So daisies are fused anthers, and the study of this is synantherology. Yeah. And you could say, like, I could just put it here. The central disc. They're not all going to be quite as wordy as this. But here's the thing, right? Because in the first one I did rosids, and now here I'm going to be doing, this is like asters, right? It's such a big topic that I need to do stuff like this. Many small flowers, right? So I'll put that there. And one thing that as well that's kind of interesting is that this daisy, the Oxeye Daisy, is not necessarily the common, you know, like the normal daisy. And there's actually some very interesting daisies as well. Part of I won't speak about, and I may speak about them when I look at the other daisies. Yeah. So the genus for those would be, and I'll just put, would be this, right? Bellis, right? Did I put Bellis or Bellus? Bellus. Right, going back to Latin again. Yeah. And there's one, perennis, means everlasting. And if you look at both the daisies, you'll see that there's not much difference in them. The only difference really, perennis means everlasting. Yeah. I guess it's similar to perennial, isn't it? But yeah, actually I did want to just talk one thing. So it's synantherology, right? And there's other things as well. And interestingly, there's also so if you have fused carpels, so this is when the pistil, because the stamen is the male and the pistil is the female, basically. That's how it works. And then carpel is, I think carpel is sort of like part of the structure of the pistil. The fruit I think is the achene. Right. Anyway, and the study of that is called syncarpals, something like that. I may have got it slightly wrong there, but we'll see. And yeah, and we could also put actually the this particular one. So the Oxeye Daisy's got 13 to 30 florets, ray florets. So that's just the amount of the amount of florets it's got, the amount of sticks sticking out of it at the side, or that's the thing when you talk about this. You can't just say, oh yeah, just say petal. You can't say petal because it's not. You have to make sure that you just say nothing apart from the word floret, because so essentially, this is a floret. But yeah, obviously, and what this is known as, right? This idea of the central disc composed of many small flowers, this is actually known as capitulum inflorescence. And there's many different types of inflorescence, and it's to do with the structure of the flower. So yeah, and it's essentially with these fused anthers, and yeah, I'll put that to the side because that's not actually what we're talking about here. But yeah, there's also, for instance, in bryological terms. So bryological means moss, and I always get it wrong. It's either lichen or lichen. It depends how you want to say it. In bryological terms, it's probably a better way to say it. There's also a type of moss called sphagnum moss that also has capitulum inflorescence. So there should So yeah, there's that. And that is that. Okay, so there's quite a lot to say about the daisy, but here's the bottom line with it. The order is Asteraceae. Here's the thing about this, like when it comes to the things with the A's at the end, like you want to say I, don't you? You want to say Asteraceae. That's how I would say it, right? Asteraceae. Asteraceae. Yeah, that's how I would say. Just say ci at the end. So yeah, so Asteraceae. Asteraceae. But yeah, it basically means asterid. Very, very. A lot of plants you'll find share these sort of things, right? Okay, so that's enough on that side. Now we're going to move to something completely different. We have this flower from plants, which is the first one from plants, so that's good. I guess the flowers don't actually need water, so I don't necessarily need to put the water down. And like I said in the last episode, we're going to be looking at scrub and desert woodland. I sort of I made that a little bit clear by looking at the cactus fruit. That is, I'm not sure what the environment for that is, but anyway, this actually does need. What does it need? It may need sand actually if it's a desert plant. Let's have a look. There we go. So the Apache plume. Yeah, so I don't believe I can do much with this in terms of, so there's no point having a chest or anything like that. So we can put the Apache plume, And the genus here is Faloukia. Okay, so this is kind of it's got very kind of thready stamens and pistils. So that's obviously the male and female. That's kind of useful. That's why I kind of put it in there. Okay, and the other thing I wanted to say is it's fed on by. This is a word that I like. This is a word that I've often come across when I randomly research this sort of stuff. Eusocial, which is the highest order of social ability in the animal kingdom, right? And these wasps called. So these are very, very, I guess, you know, like very sophisticated wasps that like to feed on it. So there we go. Okay, that's cool. Now another one we have here is called the Arizona poppy. But like I say, there is this sort of yeah, because they can all be plants. So there is this sort of desert woodland scrub feel to this. Some of these plants. So we've got the Arizona poppy now. Okay, what do we have on this? We will put here the Arizona poppy. And we have Calstromia. And we can just put. That's what it. That's what the. So yeah. So that's cool. So that's pretty cool. So that is a poppy. It's in the rosids. It's also from the order. I looked this up. It's from the order. Was it Zygophilales? Let's see if I can spell this right. Zygophilales, I think. Should be correct. Once you spell a few of these, you just get used to it a bit. And when you look at that. It's descendant of. I don't want to spell descendant wrong. I'm going to go for this. Yeah, I'm thinking antecedent. Antecedent. I'm thinking antecedent. How am I spell that? I'm going to go for it like that. Let's hope I don't get it wrong. I feel like maybe it's wrong. Descendant. And I think it's right. Descendant of King Clone. And who is King Clone? The 11,700-year-old creosote bush. Who I believe, now I think about it, when I remember researching it, it's just one. It's just one. I don't know how it's just one plant. This is some giant. Obviously, at 11,700 years old, there's a pretty old bush there. Okie dokie. What is next? Well, next we have Bigelows monkey flower. Okay, so yeah, I chose an interesting section here, and what I'll try and do is just to try and do this sort of thing with all of them, really, you know. So there's Bigelow's monkey flower. And what interesting facts are there about Bigelow's monkey flower? Well, that is a very good question. So, let's put it in the genus first, because that is what the series is called. We have Diplacus. Now this was an interesting one, right? Yeah, because I looked it up and it was linked to something called this. And this is just something that I was looking at yesterday as well. Weirdly there's all these links. You can see that anther name is in there. And I looked up this, and it said something like this next to it, right? It said Erantha mimulus, right? And funnily enough, this process, right, is really strange. But if you have, this is a red blood cell, right? And there's actually a way that, and there's a thing that happens called this. Remember, I was looking up the basal rosette, and I was talking about that. There's actually something called erythrocyte rosetting, where it's actually the blood cells. It looks like the top of a flower, which is pretty cool. But these are sessile flowers, right? So they're sitting, they're resting, they're kind of like that. And we could say nommed on by the mouse moth. So the mouse moth really likes to eat the monkey flower, and it does actually look a bit. There is an interesting looking. Not the mouse, the mouse mouth. Oh gosh, we'll have to get rid of that. I should really do an editing. There is actually an editing if I use Bibliocraft. I've done it again. That's why whenever I do something again, you don't. I learned to do this where I would make a mistake and then I'd immediately make exactly the same mistake. So after a while, you don't do three mistakes. You don't do two subsequent mistakes of exactly the same thing, which can be problematic. Because there's nothing more annoying than if you make a mistake and then you do a series of steps to correct the mistake, and then you make exactly the same mistake. Okay, so what is next? Well, this one is Cloydalis, and that is just Cloydalis. So let's have a look at it. So this is actually a genus. Oh, that's the pink Cloydalis. Huh. Okay. 1 second. Okay, so this is actually the pink Cloydalis. Oops. And that is in the genus Capnoides. It's actually the only member of it. Only member of Capnoides. And this is just something I just happen to have done right now. There is a member. There is a mushroom called Hyphaloma. This is the only other thing that comes on the search. And this also says burned areas. You know, so yeah, because obviously, I mean, mushrooms, they kind of grow in in interesting, like often you have loads of burnt wood, and there's like maybe there's like rain afterwards or something. You might get like or cardboard, and so it's interesting that I'm not quite sure what this word means. So capnoid. So anyway, unfortunately, here's the thing: it's still a member. The order is still a member, and this is actually stuff I wanted to talk about of Ranunculus. Ranunculalis. So I'm just thinking about cows for some reason. The term that I used. Because cows have got 3 stomachs, I believe. Anyway, this is an interesting thing. This order, I believe, goes back. it's an old order. It goes back, and how did I put it? That's right. You say 125, and then you use this, and this means mega annus, which means 125 million years ago. And so there's this old one. It's called Lefructus and that's the Cretaceous. So yeah, so that's cool. And in general, Cloydalis often nommed on by we have the clouded Apollo, swallowtail butter. It's a difficult one. That's interesting. I wonder if we'll just put. Let me do this. Swallowtail butter. Well, it's unlikely to be nommed on by butter, isn't it? And it's part of the basal basal eudicots. And again, we see that prefix of EU as well, which is interesting. Basal clade. So yeah, there's a few things I could talk about what's in it. Like I've got like stuff about poppies, barberries, and buttercups, but yeah, I think that will probably do for now. So thanks for watching.